Jack Carter was flying his cargo ship through a quiet part of space. It was just another routine trip for him. He liked the silence, the stars, and the soft hum of his ship. He had done this job for years, moving supplies from one planet to another. He did not expect anything unusual on this trip. Suddenly, a red light started flashing on his screen. It was a distress signal. Jack leaned forward and checked the coordinates. The signal was coming from a small moon that was not on most charts. It looked like an emergency. Jack was not a hero, but he could not ignore someone in trouble. He turned his ship toward the moon. As he got closer, he saw smoke rising from the surface. There was a crashed ship down there. It looked damaged and broken. Jack landed his ship nearby and put on his spacesuit. He walked toward the wreck, holding a scanner in his hand. Inside the wreck, everything was dark and silent. Then he heard a soft sound. It was a faint cry. Jack followed the noise and found a woman lying on the floor. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair shimmered like silver. She was not human. She was badly hurt. Jack quickly checked her pulse. She was alive, but weak. He picked her up gently and carried her back to his ship. His ship's medical bay was not made for alien bodies, but it was all he had. He placed her on the table and asked the medical AI to do what it could. The AI worked fast, cleaning her wounds and giving her fluids. Jack watched closely. He had never seen an alien like her before. She wore a strange uniform with golden patterns, but there were no clear signs of her rank or name. Jack stayed by her side, waiting. Hours passed. Finally, the woman opened her eyes. She looked scared and confused. She tried to speak, but her voice was soft and broken. Jack smiled and raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "You're safe now," he said slowly. "My name is Jack. You're on my ship." She blinked and tried to sit up, but she was too weak. Jack helped her lean back. He brought her water and she drank it slowly. She looked at him with wide eyes, trying to understand. Then she pointed to herself and said, "Lyra." Jack nodded. "Lyra, that's your name?" She nodded back. Jack felt a small sense of relief. At least she was alive and they could start to understand each other. He brought her some food, soft and warm. She ate carefully, still watching him. As she rested, Jack went to the front of the ship to check the radar. A new problem was waiting. Two small ships were scanning the area. They did not answer his messages. They were not rescue ships. Jack felt a chill. Someone was looking for Lyra, and he was sure they did not come to help. He returned to Lyra.
"Now we have to go,"
he said. Now she looked confused. Jack pointed at the screen and showed her the enemy ships. She understood. Her eyes grew wide. She tried to stand, and this time she did. She moved to the control panel and pressed a few buttons. The screen changed, showing a symbol Jack did not know. Lyra said something in her language. Her face was serious. Jack started the engines. He lifted off the moon just as the unknown ships started to move toward them. He flew fast, dodging rocks and clouds. The other ships followed but stayed at a distance. "Hang in there," Jack said to Lyra. "We'll find a safe place." Lyra nodded. She sat beside him, still weak but alert. Her presence was strange but calming. Jack felt something in his chest. He had saved a life. He had no idea who she really was, but he knew this journey was going to be different from all the others. The stars outside shone brighter, and ahead of them, a new story was just beginning. Jack kept flying through deep space, far from any busy routes. He wanted to make sure those ships could not find them again. Lyra sat quietly beside him, watching the stars with tired eyes. She had not said much since they escaped. Jack did not know how to talk to her, but he tried anyway. He pointed to himself and said, "Jack." She nodded. "Jack." Then she pointed to herself again. "Lyra." He smiled. At least they had names. It was a start. He brought out a small tablet and showed her pictures. One picture showed Earth. Lyra stared at it and tilted her head. She touched the screen softly, then looked at Jack. "Home?" she asked. "Yes," Jack said. "Earth, my home." Lyra tried to speak more, but the words came out broken. Still, she was learning. She picked up words quickly. Jack gave her a small device that could help translate. It was not perfect, but it worked well enough. Slowly, they started to understand each other. Lyra told Jack she had been traveling alone. Her ship was attacked, but she did not say by who. She said her world was far away, and her mission was important. Jack asked more, but she gave only short answers. She looked nervous when he pushed too much, so he stopped asking. They landed at a small trade station built into a giant rock. It was a quiet place where traders and miners came for supplies. Jack needed fuel and parts. He also wanted a better translator for Lyra. She followed him as he walked through the metal halls of the station. People stared at Lyra. Her silver hair and blue skin made her stand out. Jack kept her close. He knew trouble could come fast in places like this. They reached a tech shop, and Jack bought a better translator. The shopkeeper gave Lyra a strange look, but said nothing. As they sat in a small diner, Lyra tried the new translator. Her voice came out clearer. "Thank you, Jack," she said. "You saved me." Jack looked at her. "You're welcome. But I think there's more you're not telling me." Lyra looked away. She did not answer. Jack sighed and let it go. Maybe she would tell him when she was ready. As they walked back to the ship, Jack noticed two men following them. He said nothing and kept walking. At the corner, he turned fast and took a narrow path. The men followed. Jack moved quickly and pulled Lyra into a dark alley. The men turned the corner, and Jack stepped out. "Why are you following us?" he asked. One of the men pulled out a scanner. "We're looking for someone, a blue-skinned alien. Seen her?" Jack stayed calm. "No, just traders passing through." The man looked at Lyra and smiled. Before Jack could move, Lyra raised her hand. A flash of light hit the man's scanner and it sparked. The man cursed and dropped it. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. They reached the ship and flew off the station fast. Jack was angry now. "What was that? Who are they?" he asked. Lyra sat in silence. Then she said, "They want to take me." "Why?" She looked at him, eyes full of fear. "Because of who I am." Waited. He wanted to know more, but she said no more. He sighed. He did not like flying into danger without knowing the reason, but he had a feeling this was much bigger than a rescue. That night, Jack sat alone in the control room. He watched Lyra sleep on the small cot. She looked peaceful, but he knew something heavy rested on her mind. Who was she really? Why did people want her so badly? And why did she trust him? He did not have answers yet, but he had made a choice. He would protect her no matter what. Maybe one day she would tell him the full truth. Till then, he would keep flying, because something deep inside told him this journey was far from over. Jack flew the ship through empty space, moving fast and changing paths often. He knew the bounty hunters might still be following them. He'd been in trouble before, but never with someone like Lyra beside him. She sat quietly, watching the stars, her face calm, but her eyes full of worry. He looked at her. "We said they want to take you? Who are they? Pirates? Soldiers?" Lyra touched the translator around her neck. She took a deep breath. "Hunters sent by those who took my home." Jack leaned back in his seat. "You said your mission was important. Are you some kind of spy?" She shook her head. "Not spy, I was fleeing. They destroyed my ship. I barely escaped." Jack looked at her for a long moment. "You're not just some lost traveler, are you?" Lyra said nothing. Jack knew he would not get the full truth yet. But it was clear now Lyra was being hunted, and the people chasing her were dangerous. He opened the star map and picked a quiet system. "There's a peace zone not far from here. The Galactic Peace Union has a station there. If we reach it, you'll be safe for a while." Lyra nodded. "Thank you, Jack." Set course for the peace zone. It was a few hours away. As the ship moved through light years of darkness, Jack and Lyra began to talk more. The translator worked better now. Lyra's voice was soft but clear. She told him she came from a world far from Earth. Her people had long ruled their part of the galaxy, but now there was war. Jack listened closely. Lyra did not give every detail, but her sadness told him more than words could. "I was important on my world," she said, "but not safe. Now I have no place to go." Jack reached out and touched her hand. "You're not alone anymore. We'll get through this." They landed on a green moon inside the peace zone. It was quiet, peaceful, and full of old trees and small lakes. The Peace Union had a small outpost here, built into a cliffside. Jack guided the ship down near the entrance. As they stepped out, two Peace Union officers came to greet them. Jack showed his ID, and Lyra bowed her head. The officers asked few questions but agreed to give them shelter. That night, Jack sat by a fire with Lyra. The stars above were bright and close. Lyra looked relaxed for the first time. "This place is beautiful," she said. "Yeah," Jack agreed. "It feels like the kind of place no one can find you." But peace did not last. Before sunrise, the ground shook. Jack woke up to a loud alarm. The Peace Union base was under attack. Outside, black ships were landing fast. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her to cover. Peace Union soldiers ran to fight, but the enemy had better weapons. Explosions lit the sky. Jack saw one of the black ships open, and tall armored soldiers stepped out. They were not pirates, but they were trained. Lyra's face turned pale. "They found me." Jack looked at her. "We have to move now." One of the enemy soldiers spotted them and raised a weapon. Jack pushed Lyra behind a wall and fired back with a small blaster. They kept moving through the burning trees, looking for a way to escape. Then something strange happened. Lyra stopped. Her eyes closed and her hands lifted. A glowing light surrounded her. Jack stepped back in shock. The air around her began to hum. She opened her eyes and the light burst forward. It hit the enemy soldier chasing them and sent him flying. Jack stared at her. Before Lyra could answer, a Peace Union ship flew over them. A voice from the speaker shouted, "Get on board." They ran toward the ship and jumped inside. The door closed and the ship lifted off. Inside, a Peace Union officer looked at Lyra and then turned to Jack. "Do you know who she is?" Jack looked at Lyra. She looked away. The officer spoke again. "She's the High Daughter of the Celestial Crown. A royal." Jack blinked. Everything made sense now. Strange uniform, the power, the hunters. Lyra was not just important. She was royalty. He sat down, heart racing. He had saved a royal, and now he was in the middle of something much bigger than he had ever imagined. Jack sat in silence inside the Peace Union ship. His mind was spinning. Lyra sat across from him, quiet, her eyes on the floor. The officer who had called her High Daughter of the Celestial Crown stood nearby, watching them both. "Your royalty?" Jack asked finally. Lyra looked up. She gave a small nod. "Yes, I am the daughter of the last queen of my world." Jack felt a wave of shock. He had saved a royal without even knowing. He had treated her like any other lost traveler. Now he understood why those ships had chased them, why she had hidden so much. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. Lyra looked tired. "Because people change when they know. They stop seeing me as a person. They see a crown." Jack leaned back. "I'm not like that." She smiled a little. "I know. That's why I stayed." The Peace Union ship landed on a calm base far from any battle zone. It was built on a floating platform above a quiet sea. Jack and Lyra were given a room to rest. The officer said they would talk more in the morning. As they sat by a window looking out at the stars, Jack turned to her. "Tell me everything. No more secrets." Lyra nodded. "There was a coup. My uncle wanted the throne. He attacked the palace. My mother was taken, maybe killed. I ran. My ship was supposed to take me to our allies, but it was hit. Oh, you found me before the wreck exploded." Jack listened without speaking. Her words were heavy, full of pain. She had lost her family, her home, her safety. "Why not go back now?" he asked. "Because he still holds power," she said. "If I return alone, I will be killed. But if I can reach the loyal parts of our army, I can fight back. I can take back my world." Jack stood and looked out at the sea. "Then let's do it." Lyra turned to him. "What? Let's go back. Let's find your loyal people and take back what's yours." Lyra shook her head. "It's not your fight." Jack turned to her. "It is now. I didn't ask for this, but I'm in it, and I won't leave you." The next day they met with the Peace Union officer. His name was Nolan. He agreed to help them plan a return to Lyra's homeworld. He could not give them an army, but he could give them information and transport. Jack and Lyra worked with Nolan for days. They studied maps, codes, and secret paths. They learned where Lyra's loyal forces might still be hiding. Lyra sent out a message using a hidden code only her people would understand. Soon replies came, small signals from far parts of her planet. Loyal ships were still out there. Her people were waiting. Nolan gave them a fast ship with stealth tools. Jack took the pilot's seat. Lyra sat beside him, dressed in a simple black suit, her long hair tied back. She no longer looked like a lost traveler.
Oh.
She looked ready. They left the peaceful sea base and entered deep space. Jack flew fast, dodging patrols and hiding from sensors. Lyra watched every move. "Do you trust me?" Jack asked. "With my life," she said. They reached her planet after 2 days. It was dark from space, the city's full of smoke. Jack flew low, using the night to hide. They landed near a secret cave where the last loyal general had sent a signal. Inside the cave, armed soldiers greeted Lyra. When they saw her face, they dropped to one knee. Lyra stepped forward and lifted her hand. "Rise," she said. "We begin now." Jack stood beside her. He had seen many things in space, but this was something new. A royal without a throne, rising to take back her world. Lyra turned to him. "Thank you, Jack. I would never have made it this far without you." Jack nodded. "Let's finish what we started." The cave filled with quiet energy. The loyal army was small, but brave. Jack looked at them and saw hope in their eyes. He knew the road ahead would be hard, but he also knew they had something the enemy did not. They had a leader who had already faced death, and they had each other. The stars above watched as the first spark of rebellion was born in the shadows. The cave was cold and quiet, but something strong filled the air. Jack could feel it. It was not just hope. It was the feeling of people ready to fight for something they believed in. Lyra stood in front of the small group of soldiers, her voice steady. "We take back the capital," she said. "We take back what was stolen." Soldiers nodded. They were tired, but they had waited a long time for this moment. Jack stood beside her, watching the plan take shape. He helped set up communication with the loyal ships still in orbit. Some answered right away. Others were harder to reach. A plan was made. Jack would fly one of the small stealth ships with Lyra and 2 soldiers. They would land near the old royal tower, the center of power in the capital. The rest of the loyal army would enter through the tunnels. Before they left, Lyra spoke to her people again. "We may be few," she said, "but we are strong. We are not fighting for a crown. We are fighting for our future." That night, the ships left the cave one by one, flying low and silent. Jack's hands moved quickly over the controls. He felt the weight of what they were doing, but he did not look back. The capital was not the same as before. It was dark and broken. Walls were burned. Towers stood half-fallen. Patrol ships flew above, but Jack avoided them, using narrow paths between buildings. He found the old landing zone near the royal tower. "We go on foot from here," Lyra said. They moved through shadows. Jack held his blaster ready. Lyra walked with calm steps. The 2 soldiers behind them stayed close. They reached the side gate of the tower. It was locked with a scan code, but Lyra still remembered the trick to open it. They entered a long hall with tall walls. Jack could see old signs of battle marks on the floor, broken lights. Lyra looked around. Her face showed no fear. Suddenly a loud sound echoed. Guards. Jack and the soldiers jumped behind pillars. A group of armored men rushed in. Lyra stepped out, hands raised. "I am Lyra, of the Celestial Crown," she said. Leah guards hesitated. One of them raised his weapon, but Jack fired first. The fight broke out fast. Jack moved quickly, hitting 2 guards. The soldiers with them fought hard. One was hit, but kept going. Lyra stayed behind cover, watching. After a few minutes, the hall was quiet again. The guards were down. Jack turned to Lyra. "You okay?" She nodded. "We keep going." They reached the throne room. It was quiet, but someone waited inside. A tall man in black stood in front of the throne. He turned slowly. "A lost daughter returns," he said. Jack could feel the anger in Lyra's eyes. "You betrayed our blood." The man laughed. "I saved our world. You were too weak to lead." Lyra stepped forward. "We will see who is weak." He pulled out a weapon and charged. Jack ran to help, but Lyra raised her hand. A bright light came from her palm. The man stopped, shocked. She moved forward and struck with her power. The light hit him hard, sending him crashing into the wall. Jack rushed to her side. "It's over." Lyra looked at the throne. "Oh, not yet." Outside, the battle had started. Loyal fighters had reached the palace gates. The sound of fighting filled the air. Lyra opened a secret panel near the throne and sent out a signal. "To all who hear this," she said, "this is Lyra. I have returned. The tower is ours. Rise now. Take back what is yours." One by one, her people answered. Ships flew in the sky. Fighters moved through the streets. Jack watched as the capital came alive with fire and light. Hours passed. The enemy forces pulled back. Many surrendered. Others ran. The people in the city came out from hiding. They cheered when they saw Lyra. She stood at the top of the tower looking over her world. Jack stood beside her. "You did it," he said. She shook her head. "Tether." Jack smiled. He had flown cargo for years, thinking he would never do anything great. But now, he had helped change a world. It was not over yet. The sun rose over the capital. Smoke still rose from broken towers, but the city was quiet. The battle was over. People walked the streets again, and guards loyal to Lyra stood at every gate. Inside the royal tower, Jack stood by the window, looking out. He could not believe what they had done. Lyra had taken back her home. He felt proud, but also tired. The fight had been long. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed how much she had seen. "The city is secure," she said. Jack nodded. "What happens now?" "Now we rebuild. We bring order, and I must take my place." Jack turned to her. "Are you ready for that?" She looked down for a moment, then said, "I do not have a choice. My people need a leader." Later that day, Lyra stood in the throne room. The walls had been cleaned, and her people had gathered. An old woman in a white robe stepped forward. She held a small crown in her hands. She spoke in Lyra's native language, then placed the crown on her head. "All hail Queen Lyra," she said. The people bowed. Jack stood still, watching her. Lyra turned and looked at him. Their eyes met and she smiled. After the ceremony, Jack walked through the palace garden. He needed air. So much had happened, and now it was done. But he did not know what came next. Would he return to Earth? Would he go back to his quiet life in space? Lyra found him by the water. She walked slowly, her crown gone, her face softer now. "You disappeared," she said. "Just needed to think," Jack replied. She sat beside him. "You never asked for any of this, but you gave everything. Why?" Jack looked at the water. "'Cause I believed in you. You were alone, lost and hunted, but you never gave up. I couldn't leave you." Lyra was silent for a moment. "What will you do now?" "I don't know," Jack said. "Go back to my ship." "Find some quiet corner of space. You could stay," Lyra said. Jack turned to her. "What would I do here?" "Help me," she said. "I need someone I trust. Not a fighter, not a ruler, just someone honest." Jack laughed softly. She smiled, something like that. He thought for a long moment. "All right, I'll stay." For now, Lyra looked at him, eyes bright. Good. In the days that followed, Jack took on a new role. He was not used to this kind of life, but he found it strange and good. Lyra met with council members, signed new orders, and listened to her people. She moved with strength, but always found time to talk to Jack. They often met in the garden, away from the noise of the palace. One evening, as the stars filled the sky, Lyra and Jack stood on a high balcony. "You never asked about Earth," Jack said. "Tell me," Lyra said. He spoke about blue oceans, green trees, and the busy streets of his hometown. Lyra listened closely. "It sounds simple," she said. "It is," Jack said. "But it's home." She looked up. "Maybe one day I will see it," maybe, Jack replied. A call came from inside. A message from a nearby world had arrived. Trouble was growing there. Jack and Lyra looked at each other. "No," Lyra said. "A mission for peace. And this time, we go together." Jack smiled. "Lead the way, Your Highness." She shook her head. "Call me Lyra. That's how you met me." They walked back inside. The lights of the city shone below them. The people were rebuilding, full of hope. Jack had found something more than adventure. He had found a new purpose. The story that started with a rescue was not ending. It was only just beginning. Weeks passed. The planet slowly returned to peace. Buildings were repaired, streets were cleaned, and the people began to smile again. Queen Lyra led with calm hands and strong words. She visited towns, spoke to workers, and listened to their needs. Her people trusted her. Jack worked by her side, always quiet, but always ready. He helped train the new palace guards and fixed old systems in the command center. He still missed his ship sometimes, the quiet hum of space, but he felt at home here now. One morning, a small ship landed in the palace yard. A messenger from another planet had come. The message was clear. Trouble was growing again. Not war, but fear. A powerful group from a nearby star system was pressuring small planets. They wanted control. Lyra read the report and stood up. "We cannot stay silent." Jack looked at her. "Are you ready to go out there again?" She nodded. "If we wait, more will suffer." They made a plan. Lyra would lead a small team to speak with the leaders of the troubled system. Jack would go with her, along with a few trusted guards. The goal was peace, but they had to be ready for anything. They boarded a clean, fast ship. Jack sat at the controls. Lyra stood behind him, looking forward. "Feels like old times," Jack said. "This time, we fly with purpose," she replied. The journey was smooth. Stars passed by their windows. Jack thought of the first time they flew together, how he found her broken and quiet. Now she stood tall and strong. They arrived at the planet where the meeting was set. It was a cold world, full of stone buildings and sharp mountains. The leaders of the planet greeted them with formal bows. Lyra spoke with calm respect. "We come in peace," she said. "We want to listen. We want to help." At first, the talks were slow. The leaders did not fully trust her. They remembered the old times, when royal houses ruled with pride and not care. But Lyra was different. She listened more than she spoke. She offered help, not power. Jack watched from the side. He gave quiet advice when needed. He reminded Lyra to speak from the heart, not from the throne. On the third day, one of the local leaders took Lyra aside. "You are not like the others," he said. "You care?" Lyra nodded. "I lost my world once. I will not let others lose theirs." In the end, the talks worked. The leaders agreed to join a peace circle with Lyra's world and a few others nearby. It was a small step, but a strong one. Back on the ship, as they left the cold world, Jack turned to her. "You did it." Again, Lyra smiled. "We did it. There will be more. This galaxy needs voices that choose peace." Jack leaned back. "Then I guess we're not done flying yet?" Lyra looked out the window. "No, we're just getting started." They returned to their planet, and the people welcomed them with cheers. News of the peace circle spread fast. Other planets sent messages of support. The galaxy was watching. One evening, Jack stood on the tower roof, looking at the stars. Lyra joined him. "Do you miss Earth?" she asked. Jack thought for a moment. "Sometimes. But I think I found something better." She looked at him. "What's that?" "A place where I matter. A place where what I do means something." Lyra smiled. "You matter more than you know." He stood in silence for a while. The wind was soft, and the sky was full of stars. "What now?" Jack asked. "We build, protect, we lead." Jack nodded. Together. Lyra held out her hand. Jack took it. Far above them, the stars continued to shine. Planets moved, ships flew, and people lived. But on one world, once broken and lost, a queen and a pilot stood side by side. Their story had started with a rescue, but it had become something far more. It had become a bond. And that bond would light the galaxy.